Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I take this chance to welcome all of you to this session. We've just begun on time. So, and I remember last week, I remember giving you a scenario. I remember it being this. So today we are going to go through it together. And before we start, I shall request any person to raise up their hand and give us an opening prayer. So I'll mute as I wait for such a person to raise up their hand. I hope we can do it quick before we start off.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, can I read?
Excuse me? Shina.
Yes, please.
What
Yes,
were you
teacher.
asking?
I was like, can I read a question?
No, I want you to give us an opening prayer.
Okay, teacher, I swear.
Or you're not fine
Okay,
with
read
it? If
some
you're not
verse
fine with it?
for a word of the prayer.
As well.
Almighty Father, we thank you for this day, for the fire you have brought us. We thank you for our teacher you have enabled to come and share with us. May you please bless with knowledge and wisdom. May we get whatever our teacher teaches us and we don't forget it. Let it stay in our mind and give us a peaceful class. May we not disturb our teachers and may we get everything, whatever is going to be taught. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, and prayed and breathed. Amen.
Okay, Amen. So thank you for that wonderful prayer. You can now lower down the hand. And I will first see. All right, you can lower up and unmute, yeah? I mean, and mute. Okay. So on that note, I was supposed to take you through genetics. I've tried to look for that PowerPoint, but I've failed to get it. However, we shall still go through a number of things today, in line with our learning outcomes. Let me first disable annotation for others. Yeah, so you're good to go. So, last week I gave you this scenario, and at least I'm sure majority of you tried it out. I don't know, unless someone got or found it so abstract that they didn't go over it with ease. Maybe such a person can raise up the hand then. But also if you found really ease going through it, then you can also share with us. Raise up the hand and then you share with us if at all you got any findings, if you tried it out. Akampumuza, Benita, Crystal William. If you have an idea, you raise up the hand. Hannah, Jordan, Josh Best. Yeah. Okay, I see Manana has put up the hand. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So me, I think it's the father was a carrier of Ophelia. Because when you try to read the question, they were like to establish the father to get the father of the baby. So I think the father was the carrier, then the father was a sickler, sorry. Then the mother was also a carrier. So in that due to that process, they had to, the outcome of their daughter was to be a sickler, so of hemophilia. So that's
Okay.
all what I had.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that presentation.
Yeah.
You can. Okay. Let me mute you. There is Josh. Josh. Josh.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Sir.
Good afternoon to you.
According to me, I'm saying that the baby has a hereditary disease of excessive bleeding. So that is hemophilia, which is a sexually disease. That means like the father not be a carrier because he only has one X chromosome. So it's either the father was a sufferer of hemophilia or the mother was a carrier.
Okay. You have something to add? Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you for those views. I would like to get one from a girl. You have girls in the house. What is the difference between a carrier and a sickler? I always confuse the two. I'm going to explain them here today. Girls, where are you? Manana again. No, this time round I want a girl, at least just for purposes of gender balance. Akampumuza Tevi. I'm not sure if that one is a girl. Ankunda Angel. Okay, I hope this Tekino Air is a girl anyway. Aha. You can say what you have to say.
Okay. A carrier is that person who has gotten alleles for that particular defect. Let's say maybe is an albino, has gotten all alleles for albinism. Then sorry. That's a sickler. Then a carrier is that person who has gotten a normal allele and the affected allele.
Okay. Swear. Thank you for that. I thought you were hinting something on the question, but wow, that is so good. So, like, I didn't get that name. Sorry about that. But I will not call you. I'll not call you the Tekino whatever. But thank you for that wonderful presentation. Josh, you still have something to say? Case says a carrier is someone having a recessive allele for sickle cell on their X chromosome, basically on for females. Okay, but I'm going to explain this. But thank you. You have all good views. Josh seems to be having something very okay. Let me check here on Josh. Yes, Josh.
Thank you, sir. So the difference between a carrier and a sickler is that a sickler is a person suffering from sickle cell anemia, and then a carrier is a person who's heterozygous, like phenotypically, whereby he's having a dominant allele, and then a recessive allele of any disease, like a genetic disease. That's it. That's what I can say.
All right, Joyce, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I will straight away go to our area of focus today. We are going to talk about genetics. I'm sorry I'm not going to be presenting because I really didn't prepare my slides so well. So you let me get them from the head. But no, I know I can get a substitute for this. I think the other time you requested for elements of construct. You remember? What I can do is, let me share with you the elements of construct. You get them, and then in 2 minutes, I'll make sure they are available already. So let's first get the elements of construct, then I start taking you through genetics. Or no, let's go through genetics. Let me share with you this. Okay, so we can get those elements of construct for now. Okay, sorry for that. Let's start now. Okay, I saw someone raise up the hand. Let me check the chat room here. Guys, what is the difference between, okay, I think let me answer these questions before we can proceed any further. Now, there is Shelley asked that, guys, what is the difference between a carrier and a sickler? A carrier, usually in most cases, in that case, which involves sharing of genetically, these are diseases in most cases, or let's take them as characteristics. In most cases, characteristics are passed from, in all cases, characteristics are passed from a mother or a parent simply to the daughters. Of course, usually say that the mother cell to the daughter cell. But because you are dealing with humans in this case, we shall say that, or mammals, shall say that from the parent to the progeny or to the offspring. Now, in all cases, usually the father gives the disease to the daughter, and in other cases, a mother gives the disease to the son. So it is always vice versa like that. Someone will ask that, how comes? Because usually a man we all have chromosomes. Any diploid human being or whoever comes out of the womb, they are diploid in nature. In other words, they have what we call 46 chromosomes. Those 46 chromosomes occur in pairs. So we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. On those 23 pairs, 22 are autosomal, while the other remaining pair is sex chromosome. So characteristics can either be carried on the autosomal chromosomes or sex chromosomes. Characteristics like the ones which are sex influenced or sex limited are usually carried on on autosomal chromosomes. Things like baldness, things like menstruation, all those ones are carried on the autosomal chromosomes because they occur in only one gender. But we have the ones which we call sex linked. Okay. Now, another thing about those sex influenced characteristics is they are also influenced by hormones. But those ones which are sex linked occur those ones are carried on the sex chromosomes. We should not take them as characteristics that occur in one sex. No, sex linked characteristics occur in one sex. For example, we have a common disease called let's say color blindness. Or we can also talk about, I think color blindness is not so common. We have a common disease called hemophilia, where people cannot allow, it's such people their blood cannot clot. So when they start clotting, when they start bleeding, they bleed up to death. So in such a scenario, the father who is a carrier is an organism whose I think we shall first explain this from the start before I can bring in these aspects very well. But to simply put it, a carrier is an organism that is having a characteristic but in heterozygous state. Okay? So they have a capital H and a small h. But because capital H is dominant to small h, so the small h, the characteristic is hidden there. However, during crossing, they can give that characteristic to the baby. That's why we call them carriers. So they are carriers in the way that they appear normal. Okay? They appear normal like the way you look at them. If someone is a carrier for sickle cell anemia, then they will not show the characteristics of sickle cell anemia. They will not be sickly. However, they will be having that gene in them so that much as for them they don't have it, they can carry it and give it to their offspring or children. That's what it means by being a carrier. Then a sickler is a person who is recessive or who has that condition. So in this case, someone who has the sickle cell anemia is a sickler, while that person who is carrying it is a carrier because they are heterozygous. Then I hope Shelley has got that so well. Kenz was trying to answer her here. I carry as someone having a recessive allele. No? Okay, yeah, has a recessive allele, right? But it is better to say that it has, they have only one recessive allele. I think I'll put that right, Kenzie. But I saw you had some idea at least. And then Yachira, I think a carrier is a person with a disease but cannot be affected. Yachira tried that. That is good. And the definition of a sickler, please. I think I've explained that. Sir, please scroll down, teacher. Could you kindly scroll down? Okay. Oh, sorry. Meaning of autosomal. I'm going to explain that. Okay. So I think let me also explain these elements of construct before you can even take them. Now, usually That is the new lower secondary curriculum biology paper 1, elements of construct under CBC. Jonah has something to say? Yes, Jonah?
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon to you.
I just wanted you to talk about the sickle cell anemia. Is it sex-linked or?
No. I'll explain that. Please let me first go through this.
Okay, sir.
All right, I'll explain it all. Okay, so let's go through these elements of construct so that we know how the things are. So we have number one element. In number one is diversity of organisms and sustainability of natural resources. Under this, a learner must appreciate diversity of organisms and sustainability of natural resources. Diversity of organisms, we have soil, we have pollution, and conservation. So it's diversity of organisms. Those are the topics of senior 1, term 1. That's where we talk about dichotomous keys, the 5 kingdoms, okay? The life processes, okay? That's why often on that number, they'll ask you, how has this process been affected? Okay? All of them are there. Then you should also appreciate nature, meaning you should conserve soil, avoid pollution, and then conserve the environment and use it sustainably, meaning you shouldn't waste resources. The topics here have introduction to biology, classification, cell biology, viruses, insects, flowering plants, ecology. Not the whole ecology, you have the concepts of ecology, food webs and food chains, community interactions, human and natural environment, and then soil. And then two, we have the plant botany. Plant biology, the one we call botany. So there we understand how plants obtain and use nutrients to meet their requirements, during which raw materials and products are carried to the two and from various organs. And the topics here, we have nutrition in plants, transport in plants, respiration in plants, growth and development. Then we have animal biology. Also, this one talks about the processes that occur in the animals. Then we have human physiology. Here, mainly coordination, homeostasis, osmoregulation, and locomotion. And then we have 5 inheritance of characters and their variation. Here we have genetics, cell division, reproduction, and then growth and development. So those are the main things. I'm going to prepare these slides, and I will hopefully, I know at least I have some of your emails. However, I will share with you my email, I think, and contact, just in case I will prepare them, and when they are ready, I will share them with you. I hope I can do that before this week ends. So I will also share this document with you in the chat towards the end of this lesson. So we shall all be covered there. So I will request you to, someone, Mugisa Olive asked that, what's the meaning of autosomal? Now the word is not like autosomal like that. It is like this. Let me type it here. It is like this, autosomal. It's like that. Someone has shared the elements of construct here. That's good. Okay, autosomal simply means those chromosomes that are not sex chromosomes. I told that we have, of course, different organisms have different numbers of chromosomes. Like donkeys have 66, horses have 60. When you check for the cows, they could be different. They're around, I think, in the 50s. We have insects which have 16. So for us human beings, we have 46. However, they occur in pairs, meaning we have 23 pairs. I told you that one pair is, are the ones we call sex chromosomes. For a man, we have they occur as X and Y. Okay. Then a woman, they always occur as XX. Okay. Then the other remaining 22 are the ones we call autosomal. However, both of them carry characteristics. Okay. So it is the Y chromosome of a man that is responsible for the male characteristics. That's why it is called. I mean, that's why any person who has it automatically becomes a man or becomes male. Oh, this one didn't get well. Autosomal, we said we have 46 chromosomes. Okay, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Okay, I said that 22 pairs are autosomal. Okay, and autosomal chromosomes also carry characteristics, just like sex chromosomes. Okay, so some characteristics can be carried on the sex chromosomes, but majority of them are carried on the autosomal chromosomes because they are the majority. The role of chromosomes is, of course, in that they are the DNA that carry genetic information to the next generation. Okay, so you let me cut this, stop presenting this, and we go to genetics. Okay, someone may ask that, is this genetics, or who brought this genetics anyway? I will just give you an overview. Genetics is a theme in senior 4, and it's going to be handled in this coming term. Other people have already done it, which is also fine. But genetics is a theme, and among the first topic is inheritance. Under inheritance, there we shall talk about meiosis, and then how meiosis leads to variation. Because remember here we're going to deal with mainly sexual reproduction. That's why I only talk about meiosis. So we are going to talk about meiosis. Meiosis is a type of cell division where one cell divides and gives us 4 cells. And these 4 cells have half the chromosome number like the parent cell. This is what I mean. For example, like I said, a human cell has 46 chromosomes. Okay? We should pay attention to this. Under meiosis, one cell divides to give us 4 daughter cells. And each daughter cell has half the chromosome number like that of the parent. I'll give you an example. If the mother cell, like for example, for us human beings, we have 46 chromosomes. Okay? It means that by the end of the day, the daughter cell shall end up with 23. Okay? However, how do we end up with that? I think we shall explain that when we reach meiosis. So, well, because there is a time when the chromosomes must double and they go up to 96. So after them doubling, they add again half. That's why, for example, the egg comes out because of meiosis. So the egg has only 1 chromosome. And in which case it is X chromosome. Sperms also come out because of meiosis. In that case, they also have half the chromosome number. That's why for someone to be fertile, half the number must come from this side, and half the other number must come from let's say half the number comes from the father, and half the number comes from the mother to combine to give us a complete one. In the case where there is an error that we call a mutation, then the offspring we are going to produce shall be a mutant, meaning they will not be true humans, or they will not be having characteristics like a normal human being. So all this was brought up by a scientist, early in those days in 1800s, and his name was Gregor Mendel. Gregor Mendel was an Austrian, but he was a monk. Monks are those people who, they say, they are the ones who are being incubated to become popes. So this was a very committed person, and he did a lot of studies on how characteristics are carried from one generation to another. So that's why it was necessary for me to put him there, so that you know where we get all this. Mendel carried out experiments on all these ones, but for us, we're not interested in that. For us, we want to get the understand to get to know what this means. We shall be talking about many things concerning genes and alleles. Now, genes are the parts of a chromosome that determine traits. Okay, genes are those parts of the chromosome that determine a trait. For example, someone can be having genes for height. Okay, someone can be having genes for, let's say, skin color. Okay, someone can be having genes for, there are many things, for long hair or anything. Now, the different forms these genes manifest is called allele. Just like I said earlier that someone can have genes for height. Now, the height can manifest itself as either tall or short. Now, those different ways, those characteristics manifest are what we call alleles. So, meaning someone can be having a gene for height, but with the allele for tallness. Someone can be having genes for height, but with the allele for shortness. So a gene is the part of a chromosome that carries characteristics, while the allele are the different forms genes are manifested, or they are the alternative forms of a gene. Examples, we have gene like for eye color, the allele is brown and blue. Now for us, usually most of our eyes are brown, but there are people who have blue eyes. Okay, we also have things like gene for hair color. Now for us blacks, we have usually our hair black, but whites have brown hair. They have, I think, blondie. I don't know the way it is. They have black maybe, but those are the different ways. Those are the alleles. Then we have another thing called the principles of dominance. Some alleles are dominant and others are recessive, and thus we get there to a new word, dominance. And I mean dominant and recessive. Now, alleles can be dominant. Dominant is something that is strong, that it kills it, or it makes the other one not to be seen. Just like when you mix paint with the water. Because paint is so strong, it will take up the color for the water. Okay, so because the paint is strong, we shall say that it is dominant to water. Now, water whose color has been taken up, or whose color is now not being seen, we say that it is recessive. Okay, so now the dominant allele is just like, we shall take it in case like light and darkness. So it's that light is dominant and darkness is recessive. Why? Because where there is light, there is no darkness. So in such a scenario, we shall say that light is dominant to darkness, because when you flash light, there is no darkness. Okay, so in that case, we shall say that light is dominant and darkness is recessive. Okay, so meaning where you see light, there is no darkness. Same thing here. When we say that someone is tall, okay, let's assume we are using, we usually represent capital letters for dominant and small letters for recessive. In that case, if you are using tallness, maybe let's say a person is tall, then it means that they at least have a capital T in their alleles. Okay. So That's the way we should understand. Something that is dominant means that where it is, the recessive shall not appear. Let me check the chat box here. Okay, I think people are following. You see, they're just greeting each other. So, if an organism has both, only the dominant trait will show. So I think I've already explained that. Just like I gave you the example for height. If someone, we say that tall people are dominant to short people. And we say that each characteristic is represented by 2 letters. Why? Because we learned that genes occur in pairs. Why? Because that chromosomes occur in pairs. You remember that. I said a mother shall give you 1 and a father shall also give you 1. That's why they must occur in pairs, simply because for height, your mother contributed 1 and your father contributed 1. So in case you're tall, it means that you have some capital T, maybe given by the father or given by the mother. But because capital T is dominant, where it is, then it suppresses or it kills the other, or it makes the small t not to show up. That's why you appear as tall. However, so that's what these things must always occur in pairs. The one which is dominant is the one which will show or which you will see physically. I see the chat. I hope the chats are not for greeting. Meaning of what alleles? To everyone. Alleles are different forms of a gene. Okay? Like we said, someone, I think I put it there clearly, that someone can be, I'll go back here. You see that? This, we say that example, gene, AGI color. That's the gene, okay? The alleles are brown and blue. I also gave you an example for height. Height is carried on genes. And the different ways the height can manifest is either tall or short. Okay? Let me check here still. Then different forms, someone has asked. No, not different forms of chromosomes, different forms of genes, please. Okay? Or alternative forms of genes. Teacher, put that right. And then it goes on, teacher, if the mother has TT and the father has TT and the mother contributes T, what is the height of the child? There, obviously, the child is tall. Why? Because remember, the mother shall contribute 1, has already given this T, and the father already has TT. Has already, remember here it is obvious, the father is going to give another capital T. Okay, and we said where there is capital T or where there is a dominant, it kills it makes the small t not to manifest. So what if I say an allele is an alternative form of the same gene? Perfect. Sharaf, that is good. That's the way it must be. Okay, let me continue. So, Mugisa has something to say. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
How do you know that shortness or tallness is dominant and another one is recessive?
Okay. Now, usually we base on the one which we see physically. I'll give you just a simple overview. For example, they usually take it genetically that the black race or black skin color is dominant to other kinds of skin color. Why? Because if a father marries a white woman, okay, or a man marries a white woman, out of 4 children produced, 3 shall be black, or even all of them being black. So because we have all the children being black, so we shall say that black is dominant to white. Okay. Same thing, when a tall woman marries a tall man, unless the two are heterozygous or they are carriers. A carrier is a person who has 2 different alleles. For example, has capital T and small t. That one is a carrier. We call in genetics, we call them that they are heterozygous. Hetero means different. Homo means same. So we shall be getting those words like heterozygous. Is that someone is heterozygous means that they have different alleles. But however, they are the same gene but different alleles. For example, like I gave you a case of height. Someone will be having a gene for tallness and a gene for, an allele for tallness and an allele for shortness, meaning they'll be having capital T, small t. That is a carrier or a heterozygous person. However, for a person who is homozygous, they usually have the alleles being the same. For example, capital T, or small t, small t. Now, for the times when they are capital, okay, when we have, let's say, capital T, that will say it is dominant. Why? Because where it is, it will manifest itself, or it is what you will see physically outside. Okay. For example, if someone has if they go and check your paternity and they see that your genotype for height is capital T, you must be physically tall. Phenotypically, we call it phenotypically or physically, the way you're seen. One thing you should note is that the genotype, you cannot be seen, it can only be examined using the biotechnology. That's why you always hear people being taken for paternity or DNA. Okay. However, for someone who is recessive, they usually have those characteristics only occur, or they are only seen physically if they are 2 or they are occurring as a pair. For example, if we have someone having small t, or the mother gave a small t, the father also gave a small t, then that baby should be short. But a case where the mother gave a capital T and the father also gave a capital T, then that child should be tall. But we shall also talk about some factors that affect if the baby can be tall, even if they have the genotype of TT capital or not. We shall also talk about those scenarios. Let me start with the chat box to find out any questions. So what if, okay, this one I did. What if I say an allele is a molecular form of a gene? No, not really. Alan Abraham, no. Molecular form, no. That is chemistry again. Dominant is capital letter, yes. Eric, that is true. Teacher, in the case of capital T, small t, is it obvious that T is dominant? Yes. We shall always represent the capital T as a dominant, so that where it is taken as tall. Do you know there are 72 genders? MV, you'll have to tell me how you came to that. Okay, let these people also say something. I see Josh Best here raising up. There is also another person raising up. I hope I've answered your question. That's why I brought it down. Josh?
Master,
yes.
Can someone be phenotypically short, but then in the genotype is having an allele of tallness?
Okay. I think let me answer that first. Let me answer Josh Best before I go to Techno Common 15 Air. So Josh was asking that can someone be having genes? Someone is capital T, genotypically, genotype, we said genotype, you cannot see it, you can only test it using biotechnology. Okay, so someone can be having capital T, okay? Maybe even you can be having both the parents tall, meaning there is no way you can all be short, not so. So how can that come up? There's effects of environment, okay? For example, you have ever seen this? Someone can give birth to twins, identical twins. Identical twins should always be of the same sex because they come from the same egg. Eh? So then someone who grows from Kampala. In Kampala, there is a lot of food, even if a mad person can also grow fat because people are always throwing food. Eh? Then another person grows up in a very dry area where there is no food, no water, sanitation is very poor. Then a person ends up becoming very malnourished and they don't grow as tall and they attain their best height. In such a person, when you compare them with the ones who grew up in Kampala, they might not look alike simply because of the environment. So sometimes the environment can also affect the phenotype. Okay? Yeah. I hope I've answered you, George Best. I still see your hand up. Let this take you should put there your names for me to easily call you. Eh? Taking air, did I unmute you? Or I didn't?
Thank you, sir. So, teacher, I would like to know if a short person has an allele of tallness.
Oh, a short person, if they have really been given good environmental conditions, then they don't have any allele for tallness. Because remember I said that tallness is dominant to shortness, meaning anytime if they could be having an allele for tallness, they could be tall. Because tallness is dominant to shortness. But because they have small t, meaning they are recessive, so they don't have any allele for tallness. So meaning if you marry such a person, if you are also short, you also have small t, then you will only produce short children. However, if you have married a tall person, for example, the tall person shall pick the capital, shall give a capital T to the baby, and then for you, the short person, you give a small t. Therefore, you can end up with a taller child. So I think I've answered you. There is Mark Laren here. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
The geography affects the height of someone or phenotype of someone.
The geography.
Yes, the geography good at one area.
The geographical.
Yes, because people from Karamoja are relatively tall compared to those in other areas.
Okay, let me answer that. Yeah, true. Usually, of course, we are going to learn that we always adapt. Okay, that's why, because majority of you live in places where there is light. You wake up on a phone, you eat a balanced diet. You often have your skin very smooth. Like the life is good. Simply. So everything about you is smooth. How about someone who is growing up in an area where it is very hot? They don't actually get the complete meals of the day. Such people can't be having the same skin like yours. That's why you'll find that it is often very rare to get a very tall Chinese. I don't know if you have ever observed that. Majority of them are short simply because of their environment. And usually also Japanese are taller. And actually they are very tall. If we come back to here also in Uganda, you realize that people who come from the northern side of the country and western, I'm actually northern majority, northern, West Nile, they are often tall. But people who often come from highland areas, majority of them are not very tall. Okay? Even when you rate the skin is also very different. It is often people who come from the north, majority are dark skinned, while the people who often come from the downers ends, they are often light skinned majority. Okay, So a particular environment can determine the characteristics of those people. However, after them, those people getting them, they also move within those generations like that, like that. So will you allow me to proceed? Let me check the chat box here. MV said, MV, let me look for where MV is. I unmute him or her. Tell us about the gender before I can also add anything. MV should be ready. You actually raise up the hand that I can easily see you. This one is called the Wagwan. Teacher, a recessive allele needs to show itself twice. Yeah. For it to be seen phenotypically or to be seen by your eyes, it must show itself twice. Yes. Wow, I like the way you're understanding this. Actually, I've been worrying because I had not prepared for it so well. Then, what if the father's genotype, what if the father's genotype is PP and the mother's genotype is capital P, small p? Now, for that gene is for which characteristic? For example, that Hannah, you will have to put that right. Teacher, is it true that your grandparents' genes can affect one? That is very true. Actually, the genes of Adam and Eve still affect us up to now. And genes don't mean only physically, but also even in behavior. So, what if we say alleles are alternate forms of gene having the same position on a pair of chromosomes and affecting the same character? Here, I don't care whether you understand the definition, but as long as you understand what an allele is and a gene, if you can differentiate the two. Why do some be a boy and a girl? I'll explain that. How to you come up to being a boy and a girl? Isn't that natural selection? Okay, I'll answer that. Proceed, sir. Teacher, how can I save the work to my device? Okay, that one will be guided. It always depends on which phenotype they are influencing, boy or girl. Okay. No, who was raising up the hand and has put it down? Was it MV? MV, put it up again. I was still checking the chat box. Who was raising? Oh, you have been answered. It's okay. So let's say A equals to yellow allele, and this A equals to green allele. So you see that because AA is dominant to AA. In this case, when we cross, okay, you see how we end up with capital A, small a. And because A is dominant, like you saw the capital here, because it is dominant, that's why you see that though we have capital A here and small a, the capital A takes up the color, not the small a. That's what we mean by being dominant. The recessive one cannot be seen in the phenotype. Is the father's genotype always dominant to the mother? No, that is wrong. It always depends on which phenotype they are influenced. Okay, what was this? Due to the randomness of fertilization, it doesn't necessarily. Okay, I don't know what you are answering there. I don't see any question is here. Monique Shina has a question, maybe. Where's Monique Shina?
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
On dominant allele, what if I say it's the one that expresses itself in a heterozygous state? Will I be right?
That is very right. Actually, I've been trying to bring in that word of heterozygous. Heterozygous, yes. I think let me explain the meaning of those words so that we can easily use them, because they will help us. I was supposed to explain all this. but I didn't organize all of them. So let me explain them here, okay?
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
So you'll be ready to note. Well, now, okay. So here we have alleles. Of course, all this is a gene. This is a gene, okay? But now here we have alleles. We have the capital A, which represents the allele for yellow, and then a small a, which represents the allele for green, okay? And when we carried out a cross, okay, we saw that here this yellow had I told you earlier that when the alleles are alike, like here you have capital A and capital A, bear in mind that these two they should always be in pairs because a father gives one and a mother gives one. Now, when here the two parents, one parent has a capital A, capital A. In this case, that this parent is homozygous for this characteristic or for this gene. Okay, so that's why you find something like homozygous dominant. Now, this one, because they have capital A, we say they are homozygous dominant. Okay. Then this green one, it has small a, small a. So here we say it is homozygous. It is homozygous recessive, but usually it is just the repetition for yourself. Because when you say that something is recessive, we say that a recessive characteristic, when it is manifested, it means that it has occurred in pairs. So we have small a, small a. Otherwise, if it occurs, we have a capital A, and if we have a capital A and a small a, in this case, that is heterozygous. Heterozygous. Hetero means dissimilar or not the same, because we have got one A from the yellow and one A from the green. So this one is, we said this one is heterozygous for this condition. Okay. In this case, the yellow, it has taken up the yellow color because this yellow is dominant to green. So just like we said, so in this case, the yellow will be the light, and then the green will be the darkness. So where the light will be, the darkness shall go away. Okay, still Mugisa has something to say. Say it.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
When this F1 generation, where I'm seeing capital A, small a, I'm seeing this one is yellow, and you have said that it is yellow. It is yellow because of A. Capital A is dominant.
Perfect.
Now, what if this one crosses to another which is also heterozygous? Can they bring back the green one?
Yes. If we again cross this capital A small a down with another capital A small a, you mean that?
Yes, I'm meaning that.
Yeah. Now, when you cross that, we shall end up with one that is the homozygous tall, homozygous yellow. Okay. Then we shall have two of them being carriers like this, and then one being yellow, green, sorry. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. So let's proceed. Please put up any queries in time. It's better to raise up the hand because I might check the thing a bit late. So we have the P generation here. Here we have a purple flower. P generation. Okay, let's just follow this simply. But now this then another word I think I need to explain so is phenotype and genotype. Phenotype is the physical expression of a genotype. I told you that genotype is the genes. It comes from the genes. We said genes, you can't see them with your eyes, but you must go for a biotechnical test. So the genotype is when what they will discover from your test, and then the way you manifest that genotype physically is what we call the phenotype. Okay, and remember I told you that the phenotype, I mean the genotype determines the phenotype, but also the environment plays a part. So in this case, we have the true breeding parents. We have a purple flower and then a white flower. And then in F1, just like we showed up there, all of them are purple. Okay. But then in the F2, when you cross these two, you cross this hybrid, you cross like Mugisa had asked. Now you're crossing the purple. The purple of this F1, the first offspring you got, so you get, let's say you got two offsprings of this kind, coming from this marriage. Then you cross these two offsprings, you'll end up with three that are appearing purple, and one that is appearing white. Okay, and that's the ratio we always end up with. I think I will do a simple illustration here. Let me go to the whiteboard. Okay. I want to get to the whiteboard here. Then, okay. I hope, let me just use the annotation tool, it's okay. So, in this case, we are crossing, let's say this is purple. Let's, for example, use capital P. Let's say we are crossing capital P and then capital P. We are crossing, we are represent it with a cross like that, okay? And then we are crossing it with white flowers. For white, they are recessive, so we use smaller p. Smaller p. Smaller p. Okay? Now, usually these ones separate, because remember I said that you only give one. Okay? So let's separate them here. We put one capital here, and then we can even put it in a circle so that we don't mix them up. And then we put another one here. Then here they are small, We also put a circle around it. And then here they are small, we put a circle around it, okay? I want to show you how it comes up. Now, when you are crossing, there is a possible chance that this comes with this, meaning we shall have a capital P and a small p. I'm joining, there is a possible combination that a father can give this capital P and a mother gives the smaller p. So we shall have a capital P and a small p here. Okay. Then there is another possible chance that this father can still give this capital P with this smaller p to have a capital P and a small p as a baby. Then there is this capital P still coming and joining with this to form a capital P and a smaller p. Then there is also another chance of this joining with that to give us another capital P and a small p. Okay. Now, because in this one, the purple flowers were dominant to white flowers, where there shall be a capital P, it shall hide the white, meaning all these ones are purple. That's why they told us that all these ones here are purple. Okay? But now they came to the second one, to the second generation, where they were crossing these children here. They picked this and this, they crossed them together. So meaning our Now our genotypes, so the parents we are having now, we have a capital P and a small p. The one they were showing here, and then here we have a capital P still, because we are doing what we call a selfing. Selfing is the same as inbreeding. You're marrying your brother, which is not desirable. Here we are doing it because they are plants. So remember I said that they separate. They separate because you only give one. We said for you to show easily that they are separating, you should draw a circle near around them like that. Here we are also getting a capital P and a small p, like that. Please, if you have anything to say, raise up the hand. Otherwise, I'm not checking the chat box now. So in that case, we say that it is possible that on these two parents, one can give this capital P and then with another capital P here. Maybe let me stop. I first listen to S.4 here.
Hey, you teacher.
Yes,
why
please.
do we have half castes? Yet you have said that the denominant is that which appears.
What are half castes?
Like
what do you mean?
When a Ugandan gets married to American, that child is neither a Ugandan nor American, just there with mixed color, not black, not brown.
Which mixed color do you mean? Like, okay, what's the color of a half caste? What's the skin color of a half caste?
Like, you cannot place that half caste among the original Americans and they look alike.
No, I don't know if you. We have, listen. How many colors do we have, by the way? Skin colors on Earth?
Okay, let me give you example of hens.
Good.
Like, if it is a local hen with an exotic hen, yes. I thought that the offspring should be having one gene with a denominant, like not being a new creature.
Yeah, they should have shared characteristics, of course.
But the denominant has to appear.
Oh, I think I get. Okay, you don't first mute. Let me share how I'm trying to understand you.
Okay.
Your meaning that, for example, for me, I'm saying that if it is height, someone should be either tall or short. Yet there are people who are like idiot. Not so. Is that right?
Yes.
You're saying, is that what you're trying to mean?
Yes.
Good. Let me answer you there.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Ethel has brought a very good thing there. Susie, all of you don't lower down the hands. I will pick you and we should talk about it. Now, characteristics are inherited differently. That's why I brought in the thing of chromosomes. Said we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. We have 6 chromosomes and autosomal chromosomes. You remember? Now, not all characteristics are inherited the same way. That's why someone asked me that, is sickle cell anemia sex-linked? The answer is no, it is not sex-linked. Okay? Diseases which are sex-linked are diseases like, give you an example, like color blindness. We have diseases like hemophilia or failure of blood to clot. Those ones are sex-linked. There is a way they are inherited, okay? So, and we said the diseases which are sex-linked are so more common among men. Why? Because men have only one chromosome that should always carry characteristics, while women have 2 chromosomes that can carry characteristics. That's why they are more common among the men than women. Okay? So diseases are inherited differently. That's why you'll find that a cow can be black, okay? Then a bull can be white. Then you end up with a calf which has black and white. You ever seen that? You can take an example of hibiscus flower. It can have same flower having white, pink. You always see that. So to simply put it, different characteristics are inherited differently. That's why we shall talk about a number of how these characteristics are inherited. I'll go to, okay, Joshi Best, I think, talked. Let me hear from Susie. Susie, have I muted you or unmuted? Okay, Josh Best?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, according to your diagram of crossing, why are you having small flowers? Because if they were saying it was for two breeding parents, I thought for the purple flowers it should be homozygous dominant for P, like it should be capital P, capital P. Then for white flowers, it should be capital W, capital W.
Should be? For white flowers, should be?
Capital W, capital W.
Oh, good. That's another good idea there. Good. Where is Susie? Susie, what happened? Okay, let me answer Josh's question. Let me answer Josh's question here before I can hear from another person maybe. Now Josh said that why didn't we use WW? Because this one was white. Purple, we use the P because it is purple. That's a very good idea also. And now, for different characteristics, we inherit them in the different ways. Usually, because we want to avoid the mixing of letters and characteristics, that's why we often use one letter. And simply because it is the same gene, okay, that is just having different ways it is manifesting, or the different alleles. That's why we use the same letter. However, we shall reach the areas when the genes are different. For example, we shall talk about maybe color, dominance and codominance, where the two are different. That's when we shall use different letters. But for this case, where the genes are the same, they are all determining the color for the flower. That's why we use the same letters. You could also simply use W, but use it for both alleles. I see the chat room is so long, and I don't want to go there. I want to first finish this crossing. Maybe you raise up the hand. I saw someone here raise up. Where is Susie? Susie was raising up the hand. Let me let this dash talk. Susie, I don't know why.
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Teacher. I didn't get you from when white. I've not gotten there.
Come again. I don't know if it was my network
Hello?
or something. Yes.
I'm saying I've not gotten you when you're crossing the second generation.
Okay. Let me go
up
through again.
Yes.
How I come up with? How I come up with?
The purple and the white in the second generation.
But this first one you have got down on my left?
Yes, I've gotten that one.
Perfect. Now let's pick up for the second generation.
Thank you.
Okay. We're on the second generation. So here we have got to how we came to capital P, small p, right? You have told me you're up to there, you're okay. Remember we say that because purple is dominant to white, it means that where there is an allele for purple, this capital P, it shall obviously mask or hide the smaller p. That's why you find out that because this capital P is present in the F1 here, all of them were purple. Okay? And now for F2, we do what we call selfing, or what we simply call inbreeding. Here the daughter marries, the brother marries the daughter. The sister. Monique has put up the hand and I had already moved from that. Okay. Monique?
Okay, teacher. During the crossing, is it that you have to put the F1 generation type and genotype closures, or why you can just construct and put?
There are different ways you can make. You can even use a Punnett square, but I usually prefer using this one because I always assume it is easy and cannot make many errors. But this is new curriculum. You can do it in different ways, but the best way is identify the genotype, identify the phenotype. Okay? It is very necessary to do that because there is no way you'll cross correct when you've not identified them.
Okay.
Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah, thank you, teacher. Yes.
Okay. So we have said the one which is dominant hides the one which is recessive. That's why all these ones were all these ones were purple, simply because there was a presence of a capital P here, which is dominant and masks the one which is recessive. In this case, we are doing a cross, or we are doing inbreeding. So this brother or this son is marrying the daughter or the sister. We said we are doing this because these are plants. So that's why we have picked this genotype and this genotype. The phenotype is this one is purple, this one is also purple. Now I've crossed here. I showed you here that this capital P can be given as a gamete, and then also this one gives a capital P. So we shall end up with capital P, capital P. Okay. Then it is also possible that this capital P can join with this to give us this capital P, and then this and then this small p. Okay, then this smaller p can come and join with this capital P. There is that possible chance to give us. Now here we're supposed to start with the smaller p, the one of this side, and then the capital P, like that. Then it is also still possible that this smaller p can come and join with this smaller p to form for us smaller p, smaller p. Okay. In that case, this one has capital P, meaning that one is obviously purple. Okay. This one has capital P, smaller p. Because of the capital P, this one is also purple. And this one has smaller p and capital P. Because of this capital P, it is also purple. This one has smaller p and smaller p. And because both of them are small, therefore this one becomes white. Why? Because they are recessive. So in this case, we shall say that we shall have three offspring, or younger ones that are purple, 2, 1 that is white. That's why I ended up with this ratio of 3 to 1. Did we get something there? can raise up the hand. Raise up the hand and we say something. I'll not check the chat box. I see messages are very many. Raise up the hand.
Yes, sir, I have picked that, but there is another thing that I would like you to explain to me how you can cross them. For example, if you cross the one with a recessive allele is on and the carrier,
Oh,
then the
that one is
offspring that you
called
can
the test cross. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. It is okay. Okay, maybe let me hear from David C. also.
Okay, sir, just mine I want to understand from like the beginning, because I got in the middle when you're crossing. Yeah, I got from where you started crossing, but from the beginning, where you go, those capital P times capital P, that's what I just want to understand.
Oh, but you have known how we cross?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I will even explain when you're still here on the mic. So we say that you can use any other letters. However, here we chose, for I chose capital P simply because of the purple, and the purple was dominant, such that I can flow in the same line knowing that this capital P is for purple anyway. But the simple criteria is the one which is manifesting, or the one which gives many offspring. I mean, the one which gives the offspring of their color is the one which is dominant. Just like you saw here, we're crossing purple and white. All the offspring were purple. That's why we knew that purple was dominant. Okay. So for that characteristic which is dominant, we use capital letters. It would be any other letter as long as they are capital. Okay. Then for the one which is not manifested in the F1 or in the first generation there, F1, it means the filial generation, first filial generation. So the one which is not manifested, we say it is recessive. So it is represented by two small letters. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, where in the case, you see that the offsprings, we saw that they were having some small letters, not so?
Yeah.
But remember, we say that the one which is dominant is just like light. Where there is light, there is no darkness. So the one which is dominant is the light, and then the one which is small, in small letters is the darkness. Where there is light, there is no darkness. So much as these ones we are having too, because this capital P or purple is dominant to white. Where you will see the purple allele, it means that the white shall not be seen phenotypically. Okay? Yeah. That's why this one appears as purple. Okay? Like that.
Thank you, sir.
All right, please. Josh, Manana. I don't know who I'm going to pick. Have I muted anyone? I mean, have I muted someone?
Okay, sir. Hello. Yes, sir.
Oh, I can hear.
Yeah. So, sir, why is it that why don't they get like human beings also being recessive in the ratio? Let me say, like when somebody gets somebody, let me say, like if a man marries a woman who is a carrier, and the man is sick, like, why don't they also get their siblings being the ratio 3:1? And at times you might find out that the kids are either normal or carriers. Why? So
yeah,
that's my question.
Okay, I'll answer that.
Yeah.
Manana, was it Manana who talked to who? You, Josh?
Banana. Banana.
So I don't know whether it's for example purposes, but where I crossing don't have the like words, for example, parental genotype.
I can't hear you well.
I don't know whether it's for example purposes, but why are you crossing not have the words besides them? For example, parental genotype.
No. For me, I'm simply giving you knowledge. I'm giving you simply ideas. Okay. But when it comes to items and how to attempt them, we shall do that in the holiday of next term. That's when we shall know how do you present it clearly. Okay. Because I'm also assuming that the majority of you have not yet done this topic, and I'm simply giving you an overview. Okay. That's why, Okay. But I'll show you clearly how you come up with the crossing. But of course, the whole content part is this crossing. But there is the way you present them, by attaching some statements. Okay. But this is the whole backbone.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I thought you had made a.
Yes.
All right.
All right. There is again Abraham. The problem is I might. Okay. Abraham. Have I unmuted Abraham?
Excuse me, sir. Is it a must
Yes.
to use the cross diagram or I can use a checkerboard?
Is it a must?
Is it a must to use that cross diagram as you have written it or I can use a checkerboard?
I don't get you well. Can you come again?
My question is,
Yes.
is it a must to use that cross diagram or I can use a checkerboard?
I don't know. Maybe you've been asking that when crossing, are you allowed to use the Punnett square or crossings? I don't know. I hope you meant that. For that, you can use any. Okay?
No. I meant that, can I use a checkerboard?
A checkerboard? The one you draw a square?
Yes.
The one that you draw a square, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, I said you can similarly use that, or you can also use this. It is a new curriculum, and all ideas are perfect and correct as long as you get to the correct answer.
Okay.
Okay, so let me answer the question is that I was supposed to answer here. Someone asked that what if you cross this F1, capital P, say you're crossing capital P, smaller p. You're crossing it with smaller p, smaller p. Remember I said here you separate them to have this capital P and the smaller p. So that you put the circle around, then you have smaller p, put a circle around, and then another small p, put a circle around. We said we cross this and this. This is a capital P with a small p. You can cross this. There is a chance of this going with that to get a capital P and a small p. And then we have now, this one, the chances are over. So we can still now get this smaller p and this smaller p to have smaller p, smaller p. And then you have this smaller p and this smaller p to get smaller p and smaller p. Like that. In this case, this one shall be purple, this one shall be purple, this one shall be white, this one shall be white. And in this case, the ratio shall be 1. Okay, shall be 2. Sorry, shall be 2 to 2, which is the same as 1 to 1. You get that? That was a question by, I don't know, forgot, I didn't know the name, but that's what you get, eh? Okay, I think you let me proceed now. Okay, unless you have a question, you can raise up the hand and then. Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
My question is, how do you determine the locus of a gene on a chromosome?
How do you determine the locus of a gene on a chromosome? Well, it is also a very good idea. They are what you call we call them crossover values, COV. Something I don't want us to do now because we shall do it when you're doing biology at an advanced level. Here we shall simply take those simple characteristics and how they are crossed. Okay, but we use what we call COV values. It simply tells the distance that one gene, one gene is to another on a chromosome. Because a chromosome is like this. Where's the annotation tool? The chromosome is like this. Chromosome is like this, okay? So this chromosome, there is a distance that this gene has up to this, where this one is. The more closer they are, the more they manifest themselves. But the more distant they become, the more they become highly isolated. So we usually use what we call COV values. So we call them crossover values to identify them.
Yes.
But something we should not do now. Okay?
Okay.
We shall do them one other time. That's good. I like you people, you make my lesson. It's so interesting. So let's go to the principle of segregation. I've been talking about it. That principle states that traits that occur in pairs. Remember I told you that traits must occur in pairs. You remember that, they occur in pairs, are separated during gamete formation. I think I even showed you how they are separating there, so that each one goes one by one. I told that the time a mistake happens and it goes as a pair, then that offspring produced shall be a mutant. So that's why you're going to learn about conditions like Downey syndrome. You must have ever heard about it. Yeah, Hadia, thank you for muting. So those conditions come up because of a mutation or a mistake where the sperm or the chromosome doesn't actually comes up before separating. So for any for any genes to be moved to the next generation, there must be separation through the principle of segregation. So they occur in pairs and then they separate to form gametes. So it is a gamete which is moved to the next generation. That's why I told that the mother shall give you one and the father shall give you one. The time when a mistake happens and the mother gives you two and the father gives you one, that one will be a mutant. For example, in the case for women, a woman gives you XX, then a man gives the X. There we are going to form a superwoman. A woman with very many with the characteristics, we call them super women, in other words, because they are mutants. In the case where a mistake happens, and then we have a man give X, Y, such that then a mother gives the X, then we shall form someone with X, X, Y. That one shall be a man with the female characteristics. So because if this segregation or this separation doesn't come up to give us gametes that are single, then we end up with a mutation. God is own, I will answer you, but not now. Let me finish this slide first. So during gamete formation and recombined at fertilization, because we saw that they come together to give us an offspring. So the sperm and the egg end up with one allele. I think I've clearly shown it up there when you're crossing. Traits can disappear in one generation and reappear in a later generation. I think I showed you that in the, like when we're crossing up there in the F1, in the F1 here, we didn't see any white, but in the F2 the white came back. Okay, so one generation can disappear here and then it appears here. That one answers the question of someone who asks that why is it that someone can be having can be a carrier of sickle cell anemia, and then maybe the father is normal, they produce all the children who are normal. But then for these children, for them, they will again produce the children who are having sickle cell anemia. Yet for them, they were normal. Why? Because of the principle that some characteristic might appear in one, might disappear in one generation, but appears in another generation. That's why this one clearly tells us that it is not proper to marry within your family or clan. Why? Because since you come from the same genetic line, you will still make these characteristics reappear. There is someone who was raising up the hand. Who was it? You can raise up the hand now. Give you some time. Have I unmuted you? Oh.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to know, is that how hermaphrodites come about, when the father contributes both the X and Y chromosomes and then the mom gives the X?
Exactly, that's the way they come up. Even those, there's someone who say, oh, here that there are 72 what genders. Now, gender is different from sex. I think we should draw a clear differentiation there. Sex is that is you obtain it after, at fertilization. In other words, a baby's sex can be can be seen after fertilization. The moment implantation takes place, they can predict the sex of the baby. Okay. Why? Because that one is you just get assigned to the moment X chromosome comes from the dad, because it is the father who determines the sex of a baby. The moment the X chromosome comes from the father, it is obvious that the baby should be a girl. The moment the Y chromosome comes from the father, it is obvious that the baby should be a boy. Okay. Then these things of gender are assigned. So someone can be born a male, but then because of some hormonal imbalance, maybe some people can even want to do plastic surgery and they change their sex. In that case, that one shall not be a sex, but shall be a gender, because gender refers to the roles assigned to a particular sex. Even a man who is not performing roles that a man must do, then maybe a man is performing roles for a woman, then that one can also be taken as a woman, which is very different from sex. Sex is got at fertilization. I hope I've answered you well. There is Mogisa here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I have ever seen a person who is a woman, but if you try to see that person very well, that person looks like a man. So now, what brings about that?
All those ones come up because of mutations. Okay. Those mutations happen. They can be chromosome mutation. There are many types of mutations. They can be gene mutations, and they can change anything on you. That's why you always hear of cancers. Okay. But now cancers are somatic. These ones are not genetic, eh? But now these characteristics which make mutations or which make people mutants are got during that time of exchange between the father and the mother, where the father is bringing the sperm and the mother is bringing an egg. That's where all those conditions happen. And they simply happen by mistake or where things have gone wrong. Okay, let me proceed. Outside versus inside. Phenotype. The outward appearance, what you look like. Example, brown hair, blue eyes. That is the phenotype. And then the genotype is the genetic makeup, what you are inside. example, capital B, capital T, all those ones. I think I've already talked about that. I hope you have noted that properly and with concern. I will proceed here. Homozygous versus heterozygous. Homozygous alleles are the same example. Like you see here. Homo means the same. This one here. Homo means the same. Okay? So that's why we have, when they are all alike, capital H, small h, capital B. Okay? Those ones are homo. Hetero is when they are different. Mark this word. Okay? Like here, capital H, small h, capital B, small b, capital S, small s. Those ones are hetero. And here we have said that all heterozygotes are dominant. Okay. Then we go to this man, Punnett squares and probability. The principle of probability can be used to predict outcomes of genetic crosses. That's why you saw me drawing those things, showing that there is a possibility of capital P going to the capital P. So we use the probability. Or we can also, for this, we can use a simple device called a Punnett square. Punnett square was put up by someone. He was called the Punnett. And he's from US. That's why you see they have indicated him there like that. He was the money behind the Punnett square. So you can either use the probability or the Punnett square. And then you have capital B, brown eyes, and then smaller b, blue eyes. So we usually put here male here, then female. Yeah. And then, so you can simply come and put here, for example, you put here capital B. So you'll come here and do, let's say you have come and put, you put here, you put here B. Let's say we are crossing. The female is, let's say, brown eyes. It has brown eyes or is brown eyed. So we shall say they are dominant. Then the father or the male is blue eyed. So we shall come and put here B. Okay. Then we shall come and this, we get a letter which is on top here, which is B. And then the letter on this side here, which is B. We come and get here the letter which is on top, which is B. We come and get this one to make it that. We come and we get this one, which is B. And this one, which is small b. We come and get this one, which is B. And then this one, which is small b. Okay. And you see how it is working out. And by doing this, we shall have already formed our offspring. So this one is our first offspring, second one, third one, and fourth one. Then we shall proceed. Okay, let me first take this off. Okay. So if I look at a person with brown eyes, can you tell if they are BB or BB? Complete a test cross. So that is, I've actually done that for you. And then cross them with a recessive BB. Can you now cross them with, for me? Can you cross them for me? People have become so silent. I only hope things are flowing. Monique, thought I had unmuted you. Are you still muted? What's the problem? Monique.
Yes, teacher.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I want to use this one, the first one, not this one for the palette.
You want to
Down
do
for cross.
which
Down for
one?
crossing. The
You want
first
to
one,
use
the
the
one for crossing.
the probability, eh? You mean the probability? The one, okay, it's okay. It is okay, use any.
The
This
first
is new.
one.
It is okay, use any. You are crossing and you're going to show us? Okay. So I've shown you there how we come up with them. We have seen things like test cross, back across. Now, back across, test cross, you cross with the, I think the mechanisms help us show us technique, test cross. Dominant phenotype unknown, genotype, capital P, predicted if sperm is, okay. Usually a test cross, you cross with the double recessive, okay. For example, if the offspring you got was capital P, capital, I mean, if the offspring you got was capital P, then you cross it with a recessive, okay. That's a back across. I mean, that's a test cross. Now, a back across is when you cross with any, you get the parent, I mean, you get the offspring, you cross it with one of the parents. That is a back across. But this is simply the introduction, so we are defining the terms, so you shouldn't mind so much. We shall break them down. I know when we meet next time, you'll have got a blueprint of this. At least, yeah, I know you'll speak with some superiority in your class because you have ideas now. And then you have incomplete dominancy. One gene is not completely dominant over another or a mix. Example, red flowers crossed with white flowers will give you pink flowers. Now, incomplete dominancy, in this case, when you cross two parents, none of the characteristics is dominant. Let's take the example. When you cross a tall parent with a short parent, you end up with an intermediate. Okay? The case of a complete dominance, though it doesn't work there. This one mainly works for, I'll give you an example of flowers. When you interbreed a purple, a pink hibiscus with a red hibiscus, you end up, okay, let's say when you interbreed a red hibiscus with a white hibiscus, you don't end up with either white or red, but instead you end up with pink. So in this case, the two characteristics mix, but they form a completely different organism because of a mix of two colors. And Nana raised up the hand. Let me hear from him or her.
Teacher, what about people who are albinos?
Oh. Now, albinism is not sex-linked also. No, it is not sex-linked. Albinism is however, it is also moved the same way in the Mendelian, whereby if you cross an albino with a non-albino, often in the first generation there, because a person who is an albino is recessive, remember, that's one thing we should note. A person who is an albino is recessive for the alleles, meaning they have small a. Okay? Meaning, if should they make a mistake and then you cross them with, should you cross them with if let's say a woman is an albino, not so. They have small a, right? And then you cross them with, let's say, a homozygous person who is capital A, capital A. In that case, the first generation will produce all children normal. Okay? Now, in the what about now in the second generation where, let's say, an albino, I mean, in another situation where an albino is marrying a man who is also heterozygous, meaning they have capital A, small a. In that case, they will produce many children that are albinos. Why? Because we have 3 alleles of albinism. We have a woman giving 3, giving 2, small a, small a. Then a man also has one small a hiding in him, but he is normal. So there are many chances that such a family will have albinos simply because the father is heterozygous and the mother is an albino. When you're an albino, you are recessive for that gene, meaning there are many more chances of you producing children who are albinos. So to simply put it, if someone marries an albino, at least they will only have a chance of skipping one generation of not producing albinos. Okay? But the second generation shall produce an albino at least. I have here many. No, chat box are not checked. I see here many hands. Who should I pick now?
Excuse me, teacher. So are you trying to say that there is no possibility of black parents, 2 black parents, all with capital A, giving birth to an albino? It needs one of them to have the genotype of an albino in them to give birth to an albino. Then how come most of the black parents have albinos as children?
No, even whites can have albinos, yes. However, I said even 2 black real normal parents can give birth to an albino. How can that come up? If the father is a carrier for albinism, meaning they are heterozygous, they are capital A, small a. The mother is also a carrier for albinism. She has capital A, small a. You see how we have 2 A's there that are small, meaning there is a possible chance of producing an albino. Okay?
Okay.
That's how it comes up.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We are coming towards the end actually. I see Wagwan. Yes, talk.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
excuse
please.
me, sir.
Get you.
When there's the normal parent genotype, it is capital A, right? The normal parent's genotype. So they have to be now if the parent has a normal genotype of capital A, now they cross with a parent who has small a. They'll produce normal children, but one albino kid.
Let's say one parent has capital A, right?
Yes.
Then the other one has small a, right?
Yes, sir.
In that case, that generation will not produce any albino.
Oh.
They will not. Because it shall be possible that one shall give a capital A, not so. The other gives a small a, meaning that is capital A, small a. That one is a carrier. You see that?
So carriers are normal.
Carriers are very normal. Yes.
But they have the allele of albinism, but it's not
exactly.
dominant.
Yes.
Okay, sir. And it also takes place for other cases like sickle cell anemia.
Exactly, that's the way it is.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Twalib Aslam. And you should be the last.
Mr. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Mr. What is the color of an albino?
Oh, so you've never seen an albino? Maybe I could download for you the picture. Usually albinos have pink eyes Their skin is not white. How can I describe it? They have white hair. What else? Which characteristic do they also have? But those are the main characteristics, eh? Those are the main ones. You can download and you see the picture, maybe. Otherwise, it's hard for me to describe for you. I said 12 was the last. There is God's own here. I have God's own. You be the last. Okay, it's okay. And you give us the closing prayer after asking. God's own. She has run away. He or she has run away. It's okay. Hadia.
Yes, please.
You can even greet us and then you give us a closing prayer.
Hi everyone. My name is Hadia. Yeah. I'm gonna give you the closing prayer. I'm Muslim, so please don't mind how awkward it might sound. Yeah. Can we humble ourselves for prayer? Dear God, I really thank you for this lesson. It has been a very amazing lesson. I hope that we have all gained from it. I thank you for making us able to attend the lesson today. I thank you for helping the teacher to be able to teach us today and explain properly for us to understand. I hope that whatever information we have got from today's lesson, we will be able to retain it and have a very lovely evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hadia. And thank you everyone for being part of this session. I see people have dropped, but I really appreciate you for coming. I know this might be our last lesson, but I have hope we shall meet next time. So I wish you the safest and the most understanding second term. Revise books. Don't lose path. Don't do drugs. Stay focused. Anytime a term gets done, you're nearing to your expectations of the future. So stay strong and work hard. I wish you the best of the evening and have a nice term to 2025. So I'll give you 10 seconds to say bye to your friends also. Let me unmute all of you.
Bye bye, my dear friends.
Bye. It was very nice seeing you. Bye. Thank you so much for attending this lesson. So nice.
Bye. Yeah, thank you so much
Very nice.
for
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
School is on Monday.
And that I wish you a nice coming term.
Right. Bye.
Teacher, give me work.
See you
Please.
soon.
Teacher, give me some exercise.
What?
Now,
Oh, give us the work.
you'll
You send
send,
that
you'll
to
send me on mail. I'll send you some on mail.
But
Hopefully.
Okay.
Teacher, I don't have your email. Teacher, send us
Okay,
Send on your email.
Send to the group.
Okay, let me show you the email. It's okay.
Teacher, please show us the work. I want to do my work. I'm bad at home.
Let me via my email. It's okay. Check the email here. But I sent the other time.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. You've seen it? I've sent only Hannah.
Teacher, I haven't seen. Teacher, please send.
So we
You've
are
seen it
waiting
now?
for it. I've seen it, sir.
My book. And keep your mouth shut. Teacher, please send us.
Guys, let's relax.
Okay. You'll send a message there. You describe yourself, name, school, before I can get you. Otherwise, if you send a You send it just like that, I won't see anything. All right. I wish you the best.
We are going to use the password as
I'll send it.